Good morning, Flosstube. I wanted to do a second video. My initial plan was to wait until October had started, but I've got some progress to show, and I wanted to talk about the stitch along again before it's actually starting, so we'll do one this morning. I changed my location a bit because I feel like the lighting is better. This is kind of the center of the room with light from both sides, so hopefully this will make colors and everything be a little bit clearer. Let's start off with whips. I got some work done on Altered by Heaven and Earth Designs, and I did not pull out the picture for that. So if you want to know what that looks like, I guess just refer back to the original video, or it is on the Heaven and Earth Design site. My goal was to finish off the page that I was working on, which I did, and then I did another page. So I finished off the page where this is, and then I came in and did this page where you're starting to see some of the woodwork. It's really pretty. And then I put it aside because the next couple of pages are going to be similar to this, so I didn't want to get bored with it. My plan after that was to go to the red and the black too and get some work done on that. I actually wanted to finish it this month. Did I do that? No. This is why I can't have an official whip rotation, because I know that I'm not going to follow it. So that's what I said I might like to do, but it's not what I did, and I'm okay with that. So that piece is exactly where it was before. No change. But that's okay. Because my goal that I had set with the Nays Cross Stitch Needles website and her Instagram and everything was that I was going to complete this by the end of 2015. My personal goal was maybe by the end of September, but I still think I can get this done by the end of 2015. Now, as to what distracted me. The Facebook group Cross Stitch and Discuss, I had joined that, and I had been following Stitching May here on Flosstube already. And she had gone through in her video all of the stitch alongs that were going to be happening through Cross Stitch and Discuss. And I went through that and said, you know, I want to get more involved in this group. I want to do one, or two, or three. So one of the ones that started, I think it was September 10th, was a Prairie Schooler stitch along. Any design that you wanted, as long as it was Prairie Schooler. For those of you that may not be aware, and I think at this point everyone is, Prairie Schooler is going to be closing their doors sometime in 2016, end of 2015, which means people like myself are scrambling to get the charts that you wanted before they do that, so that you're not paying ridiculous out-of-print prices for them. So I'm working on that. And I started for the stitch along Hocus Pocus. I have several of the Halloween charts just because I love them so much. Most of you, I'm sure, are very familiar with this. I am doing it on a different fabric, because that's me, I like to change things. I'm doing it on a different fabric. I'm changing some of the colors to slightly different shades to go with that fabric. And some of the things, because I'm changing shades and colors, I'm moving some things around color-wise just so that I feel like it looks good. So I've gotten quite a lot done. This has been my focus piece since I started it. I feel like I've gotten a lot done. So I am here. I'm really enjoying it. I finished up the brown, because instead of black, it's all done in 3371, which I think looks really good with this fabric too. So I finished up the owl in the middle, the brown on him last night, and I'll start adding in the other colors today, and maybe another block, and then bringing the border down on the side and on the other side. So I'm working on this. I'm really enjoying it. I would like to finish this by Halloween. That'd be really nice. Okay, and coming back to the Cross Stitch and Discuss stitch alongs, I am also, another one was on, you know me and my cheat sheets. September 25th, they are starting a stitch along for Heaven and Earth Designs, and it can be one that you have already started as long as you are less than 15% done. Well, of course, I'm less than 15% done on both of them. So I may jump in with that because I'm going to be working on them anyway. Why not? It's another way to get involved. And then let's talk about peer pressure. One of the designers that never spoke to me and I never thought that I would enjoy at all is Mirabilia. And I know lots of other people have said that. The pictures on the charts just aren't as impressive as when you see other people stitching them. And I'm not really into fancy ladies and all that. And I'm not super into like dragons and fairies and all of that kind of stuff. But I kind of like some of the fairies. And I like the witches. So Stitching May said that they're going to do another, I know they started one on January 1st of this year, another Mirabilia Stitch Along on January 1st, 2016. So I thought, this is the time to jump on board. I should do this. And I should do it with other people, and I'll really enjoy it. So then it was down to, well, which one? Which one am I going to choose? I know you have people like Stitchy Anthropologist and Crafty Curator who are doing On the Met, which is beautiful, and that's one that I was drawn to. And the one that I really, really liked was Shakespeare's Fairies. It's huge. Why do I pick all these really huge projects? So I thought, Emily, no. You don't, something where you're going to be doing some 1/1 skin, because that's the way I would want to do it, and you're going to be doing beading, and you've never beaded before. Scale down. Scale down. So I'm not letting myself do Shakespeare's Fairies. So then I went on the hunt of what I wanted to do. Well, I followed the lovely Array as long as I've been on Flosstube. She is one of my favorite Flosstubers. I love her energy. I love her taste in charts. And I don't know if she's subscribed to me or not, but if you are, you're fantastic. She is working on a piece that speaks to me. The colors are beautiful, and I just love it. It's what is the name of it? August Peridot Fairy. Love it. It's beautiful. So here is the chart. I found it on eBay, along with the embellishment pack. Yay, everything at one point. So I got it a little bit cheaper getting them on eBay. I always try to look there and price check with all the different sites. But here is August Peridot Fairy. Look how beautiful she is. The greens and the blues and those wings. The lovely flapper-esque feather coming off the top of her head. She's pretty. I think I'm really going to enjoy stitching her. So then I went on to the viewer, and I was matching up fabrics and putting fabrics in the background and trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I fell in love with, thankfully, because I already owned a piece of this, I fell in love with the way she looked on Picture This Plus's gingerbread. So she is going to be stitched on this, which is similar to what she's on, but with a beautiful hand-dyed effect and modeling, which I love. Which gets me to something else I wanted to talk about. Peer pressure. Well, not just peer pressure. It's this community, and being able to see what's out there when you live in a town or a part of the world that doesn't have an LNS, and where you don't have access to a lot of things. You get to see the beauty of products that you don't have at your fingertips, like hand-dyed fabrics. They're beautiful, and my stash has a lot of regular, plain, raw, or natural, or cream Belfast in it because that's what I knew. And now I'm looking at those pieces, and I'm kind of being a little snobbish and snarling my nose up at them now. I'll use them for something. I know I will. But at this point, I want something prettier. And yes, that sounds snobby, but I want something prettier. So I'm going to use the gingerbread for the Peridot Fairy. And that gets me to the next project that I'm going to be starting, which is the stitch along that I talked about last time that Tattooed Stitcher and I are going to be starting October 1st. Everyone is welcome. I think we have, like, including me and him, 21 people in the stitch along right now. And I have all of those people tagged on the initial photo on Instagram. And if you want to join in, just let me know on here. And, you know, it's low pressure. We're going to do a block a month, and it's like, I think each block is about 92 by 92 stitches. I don't know if you can hear my cat Dharma, but she's yelling in the stairwell. 92 by 92 stitches. It's not much, although now that I'm looking at it, it's a little intimidating. But I can do it, and you can do it. And if I fall behind, or if anyone in the stitch along falls behind, whatever. It's low pressure. No big deal. So maybe I'll catch up another month. Maybe it's something that once it's all over with, I'll come back and do a stitch or two here. It's okay. It's supposed to be fun. It is supposed to be fun. So if you love this chart and you want to join in, because that's what it's about. Seeing other people stitch the same thing that you're stitching, seeing it on different counts, seeing it on different fabrics, seeing other people love it as much as you do. And that's what it's about. It's not about a race. It's not about who can finish first. It's not about if you finish at all in the month that we're doing that particular one. But this is the chart. October 1st, starting the first block. If you want to join in and I don't know already, just let me know. I'm psyched. So I've got my chart. I went to Michael's since the last video and got all of my floss. Dharma's she's totally cracked out, obviously, and just kittening around the house, running and fluffy tail. It's fantastic. So if you hear that, I got all my floss, and there's not a color in here I don't love, which is going to make this project really enjoyable. All of these greens and oranges and smoky blues, and it's all so pretty. So I have all of those that I've still got to get on bobbins. That's on my to-do list right now. One of the reasons that I'm able to film this basically uninterrupted this morning is my husband is in Toronto until late tomorrow. Nothing fancy for work. My husband doesn't have a fancy job. He works on he's a traffic signal technician. But he and his dad and his brother try to do a guys trip once a year. Last year they went to Chicago, maybe? I should remember that. They went to some sports hall of fame. I could care less about sports. So I'm just like, okay, honey, have fun. I'll be at home stitching, doing my own thing. So he's in Toronto. They flew in and met in Buffalo. They went to Niagara Falls, which I am a little jealous of. I would have loved to have gone to Niagara Falls. And then they were driving up to Canada into Toronto, which is like 1,000 miles from where we live. So he's really far away from me right now, which sucks. But they were going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. The Red Sox were playing up there randomly, and they're big Boston fans, so they were super excited. Kidding crazies. So they were super excited and getting to do that, and he'll be home tomorrow, but I do miss him. I got totally off track. What was I talking about? Oh, I need to bobbin 8-9 threads, so maybe while he's gone I can get that done. And I got my material for Village of Hawk Run Hollow. I'm going to try to show you, but the light's a little better this time, but not fantastic. So let's see how this goes. It's a lighter fabric. It's Pictures Plus because I love them. Two cats running through over my feet. Big fluffy tails chasing each other, but they're having a blast. Picture This Plus, Heritage. Kind of light with brownish, greenish modeling. Trying to figure out how I can. My computer keeps trying to go to sleep, which makes sense because I'm recording. Anyway, this is what I plan on stitching it on. I think it's going to look nice. That'll look nice because at this point it's the fabric that I've got. I don't have time to get anything else because I don't have an LNS. But I think it's going to be pretty. Coffee break. because it is still morning here. And one of my good friends, I knew we were going antiquing today. That was our plan. But she texted me a little bit ago as I was starting to do this, and she was like, I'm picking you up at 10:30, so hopefully I get this done before she gets here. I wanted to do a few tags too, because I wanted to get some of those done. The first one I want to do is the Nays Designer Tag by Nays Cross Stitch Needles. I think this was originally posted in February of this year. Question number 1. Who is your favorite designer? I don't really have a favorite. I thought long and hard about that. I have a lot that I love, and to my detriment, they're ones that either are retired already or are planning to retire soon. But the ones that are still making designs that I love, like Carriage House Samplings, they did the Hawk Run Hollow series. I love a lot of their stuff, and their charts are a little pricier, so I don't own as many, but I plan to because they're all beautiful. Another one is Barbara Anna Designs. The finish that I showed in my last video, Rampant Cats, was by Barbara Anna Designs. I own several other pieces that she has designed. One has the little poem on it, the love is patient, love is kind, and it has 2 individuals and cats and keys, and I think it's beautiful. But I'll tell you one problem I have with Barbara Anna Designs, and it's just me personally, they're beautiful as they are, but I'm not always in love with her color choices. Like the love is patient, love is kind has a lot of pink. I'm not a pink girl. So I'm going to do some color changes to that and make it a little darker. It's just who I am. You gotta be who you are. Let your freak flag fly, right, Letitia? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the color changes once I finally get around to that one. And some of the ones that are no longer printing that I love, like Prairie Moon or soon to be Prairie Schooler. I love The Good Huswife. I have several by The Good Huswife that I've been trying to collect. They are expensive because they're out of print, and when I find them on eBay, I really try to not get them when they're ridiculous. Some of the charts can go for like $60, $70, $80, $90. I'm not paying that. I'm not. So I try to slip in and maybe buy them when I find a seller who maybe doesn't know what they have. So I swoop in and grab those. Okay, question number 2. When did you first discover them? I got back to stitching this year and realized that there was more to life than what was at my local Walmart, which is the last time I stitched. That's where I bought my supplies. So pretty much everything I'm in love with, I have discovered in 2015. What was the first chart you bought? Oh, I meant to get that and bring it down here because it was one I had given Jim to sell on eBay because I stitched it. I don't need it anymore. I bought it at Walmart back when I was a teenager because when I first started stitching, my mom bought all my charts. I was like 12 years old or 10 or whatever, so I don't really count those. The first one that I bought with my money was called a Country Kitchen Sampler. It was a Leisure Arts chart, and it's like Emily's Kitchen, it's sewn at the top, and then it was the alphabet, and with each letter of the alphabet, there was like L for ladderback chairs, or C for country crops. It's super country, which I've changed the personality and what I enjoy since then, so I don't really know that I would put it in my house, but that's good because I don't know where it is. It's somewhere at my mom's house with like 4 other finished pieces that I never framed. A lot of the ones that I finished and framed are still hanging on the walls at her house. So they can stay there, that's fine. Your tastes change, they probably wouldn't look good in my house. So, what was your first finished piece? I do have that chart. One second. I actually saw this chart last night sitting on the table over there where I had it out looking at it. This is a really old chart, but this is the leaflet, I guess, that I started sewing from. I bought this at Walmart, for $3.58, or my mom did. This is one that she had bought so she could sew, and then I took it over. There are pages missing from this, but it's called Short and Sweet number 2, 50 More Miniature Sayings. Look how old school that is. So old. And if you recognize this, you're like me, and you've been stitching for a few years. I have sewn most of these because they were so tiny, you could just do them so fast. I'm trying to remember which one I did first, and the fact that I no longer have it. I think the one that my first finish was this one. The Love is Homegrown. It was either that or the Country Kitchen. I know I've done both of those. How many charts do you now have? I don't know. Let's not count because that would make me feel really guilty and bad. So a lot. More than I could finish in years, but I continue to buy more. In fact, I have one coming in the mail right now that I found on eBay at a bargain. So, do you have any current whips? Yes. You guys have seen both my Heaven and Earth designs, the Red and the Black 2, the Prairie Schooler one, and soon to be the Village. So that's all that I have going at the moment. But obviously, I'm going to continue to start things and adding more in. That's okay. What is your favorite chart by your favorite designer? Probably Village right now because I'm so excited about it. And I think it's the anticipation of starting and not being able to start yet. It's really making me excited about it. I want to do CoffeeStitcher Tag that he did also in February 2015. Okay, what is one designer you didn't initially have any interest in until you actually did one? Well, I'm going to cheat on this question and say I didn't have any interest in it until I actually decided to do one. And that's Mirabilia. And I've already went through all of that. But I'm super psyched. I can't wait till January 1st so I can start that because she's just so pretty. Number 2, what is one designer that you just cannot get in the groove on? There are several. Like, I'm not a big Clouds Factory fan. I'm not a big, what's the other one? Any of the ones that look really cartoony. There are a couple of Clouds Factory pieces that I would stitch, though. Like, I cross-stitch so I don't kill people. I would stitch that because I do cross-stitch so I don't kill people. But one that I have found that there's not a thing that they have designed that I would stitch at all. And the fact that this is CoffeeStitcher Tag, and I don't know if he follows me or not, but I feel almost bad saying this because this was his question, and I know he loves this designer. And I appreciate their work. It's really pretty. And the colors used in the design, it's pretty. But it's not my taste. Brooks books. Not my taste. But I appreciate the patterns for what they are, and I like seeing other people doing them, but I wouldn't do them. So I am excited to see CoffeeStitcher start the Wizard of Oz series and go through all of those because I think they look cool, but I'm not going to. Hold on, I'm seeing if this is my friend. I'm not going to stop recording. I'm just going to be really rude for a second. Question number 3. What is one chart that you would love to see made, and who would you like to see design it? I need another full coverage design going, like I need another hole in my head. But one of my favorite artists right now is Arthur Rackham. It's old design, and I think Heaven and Earth Designs has one by him, and it's an Alice in Wonderland design of like the Tea Party with Mad Hatter. And I really like that, but I like some of his other stuff better that is non-Alice in Wonderland themed. So look him up, Arthur Rackham. Beautiful illustrations from forever ago, but I love them. Actually, I have one framed on my wall over here. of an old Grimm's fairy tale that's really dark. I love it. My house is full of dark things. It's just my style. But I would stitch something by him in a heartbeat if I could find a piece of artwork that I loved that was charted. Um, Either that or another odd thing about me, I collect Ouija boards. I don't have many right now. I just have two because the ones that I like are the older ones and they're kind of expensive. I have an old wooden one from the turn of the century that was the first one that I ever bought that is one of my prized possessions, and I know that makes me a big weirdo, but so be it. And I have one that my husband bought me for Valentine's Day because he knows I'm a freak and that is romantic to me. And it's before Parker Brothers took over completely and the original William Folds was making them. So he bought that for me and it's really awesome. And I mean, it's even in the back of my phone. I love them. So I would like to see charted a historically accurate Ouija board. There are several out there, and I don't want it to be full coverage either. I would like one where the fabric is the background and you can see the modeling because that's kind of the way the backgrounds look anyway. But I can't find one that is exactly what I want. And I was telling Tattooed Stitcher, I was like, maybe I should just design one. Maybe that's something I should do one day. So that way I know it's what I want. Okay, one more tag. It's kind of a long one, so if you're bored, you can stop now and come back later or not at all or whatever you want to do. But I wanted to do the Stitching Style Tag by Pam Reed. This one was from May 2015. Number 1, what is your favorite fabric? And to me, this means like even weave or Aida or linen or whatever. So I have not stitched on Aida since I started stitching, and I'm kind of snobby about that too. I think that some of the modern designs actually look kind of kitschy and cool on Aida, but because that's not anything that I normally choose to stitch, I don't Aida. I am a linen girl. I have been ever since I stitched a piece in the late 90s. I haven't looked back. I like 32 count Belfast is my favorite. Now hand-dyed 32 count Belfast, but that's my favorite. Number 2, do you use a hoop or frame? I use Q-snaps, different sizes. Number 3, do you use a stand or just hold your frame? I just hold it. And I know Deb had asked me, she had commented in my last video for me to kind of show how I'm able to stitch on a large Q-snap, but I think we came to the conclusion that it's easier for me because I'm so tall. I mean, I have really long arms. I'm like almost 6 foot tall, so it's not hard for me. I could see how having a floor stand might maybe be easier, but I just don't have the cash for that. So Q-snap it is. What is your favorite time to stitch? Anytime. I'm obsessed. I really like to stitch in the evenings, probably the best. Do you use a printed paper copy of your chart or digital? Printed. I don't trust technology, and I know that I'm still, I guess, considered kind of young, and I should be all about technology. And I love what it has to offer, like the fact that we can all talk and communicate, but I don't want my charts printed. Number 6, are you a floss licker? Guilty. I am. Sorry. I lick. Yeah, it's kind of gross, but. Number 7, do you hoard or buy supplies as needed? Well, obviously, I hoard. I hoard. I get that from my father, and he's never going to watch this, so I can place that blame on him. My dad's a total hoarder, and my mom does not allow him to do it in the house, so he's one of those men who has, like, an outbuilding and a shop with, like, all of his crap in it, and, like, that gets full, so he builds another one, and then that gets full, so he builds another one. I'm not like that, but it's inherited. Number 8, what is your favorite floss? I have only stitched with DMC. I'm trying to keep it that way, except for maybe I had said before I was going to do Mermaid's Folly and silks, but I'm going to buy cheaper silks, and I'm going to leave it at that, because when I discovered hand-dyed fabrics, that upped my cross-stitch budget, and the last thing I need is to be spending money on really, really fancy, expensive threads. So I've been telling myself that if I don't know how great they are, I won't covet them. And Dharma obviously agrees. So number 9, are you a serial starter or do you have a whip at a time? For whips, I'm planning on starting more. I keep buying things to start. So I used to be a whip at a time person, and I think that's how I lost my stitchy bug. So yeah, I'm becoming a serial starter, and I'm kind of okay with that, because whatever keeps me loving the craft. Do you have more FFOs or UFOs? Honestly, somewhere at my mom's house or here, or that I've gifted to people, I probably have more fully finished objects at this point. But the more I start, the more that ratio sways the other direction. So as of right now, I have more fully finished objects. Number 11, do you watch TV while stitching? Yes, I watch. It's on if I'm stitching, and if it's not on, my laptop is on, and I'm watching Flosstube or something like that. 12, do you mostly stitch alone, or do you ever get together with someone to stitch? Alone. I tried getting together with a group once, and it was just awkward. And I live in the South, and I'm not your typical Southerner, and I didn't fit in. And they were great girls. They really were. They were fantastic girls. But I kept almost dropping the F-bomb or just being myself, and I couldn't. So, I mean, I totally pull myself in on here, because I never know when someone's children are going to be around or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about me ever being inappropriate on my Flosstube videos. But I want, if I'm just chilling and hanging out, I want to be myself, and I couldn't. So, if I found the right group, I would totally stitch with some chicks. I would do that. Do you like to experiment and alter things with your charts, or do you stitch them as written? I alter. I do. And it's like I was talking about, I like to change colors. I like to change, getting crazies. I like to change the fabrics. And I didn't show it when I showed my finish for Rampant Cats. But on that, I did several changes, and not just color and fabric, but I changed the initials to where it would be an E and a J for me and Jim. And I gave the little guy a beard, because beards rock, and my husband has a beard. I've never seen my husband's face. There's a fact for you. Never seen it. The entire time we've been together, he's had a beard. So I've never seen the skin on his face. So, but I'm totally into facial hair, so it's cool with me. Do you bobbinate floss or not? Yes, I bobbinate. Do you start a project in the middle of your fabric or at the corner? I start in the corner. And it used to be frustrating for me to start, because I would have to find the center, and then I would count up, and then I would count over, and it would take forever. And then I would worry that I miscounted, so I would mark it, and then I would start again and count up and count over to make sure I was in the right spot, and it would take forever. If you still do it that way, here's an alternative. I use the fabric calculator that I think I found. I think it's Yarn Tree. And it not only gives you the dimensions of your finished, the fabric that you need, but it gives you the dimensions of the finished stitched piece on whatever count you're using. So I spread my fabric out now, and I get a ruler, and I mark how big it's going to be when I'm done, and then I just, move it around and make sure it's where I want it to be on the fabric, and it hasn't steered me wrong yet. So that's pretty awesome. No more 1, 2, 3, 4, up to however many. Do you have a whip rotation? No, and I'm not gonna, because I will just disappoint myself by not sticking to it. So I stitch what I want to stitch when I want to stitch it. Do you use the timekeeper to keep track of how long it takes you to complete a project? No. I would be interested to know how many hours I put into a project, but do you use the parking technique? I use a variation of it, but I talked about that in my last video. Do you keep your orts? Yeah, I do. I didn't used to, but now I do, because I saw other people's ort jars, and then I went on the search of the perfect ort jar, and I found this, which I think is somewhere on my Instagram. And I'm really having issues with this left to right thing. So here we go. I love this. I think it's so pretty. So these are my orts from whenever I bought this earlier this year. So I like that. Do you like to have a snack or drink while stitching? I would say, oh, I only drink water when I stitch because I don't want to get anything on my fabric. That's not true. If I'm thirsty, I drink. If I had a bad day, it's a glass of wine. And if I had a really bad day, it's a glass of wine and some cookies. So I'm just careful to make sure that my hands are mostly clean and that I'm putting my stitching aside as I take a drink of wine or whatever I have, and then bringing my stitching back. So I'm really careful, but I rock out some beverages and some snacks while I stitch because I like food. Speaking of which, so that is the last of that tag as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything I didn't mention that I wanted to cover in this video. I'm not going to go through stash today because that's just going to depress me. Oh, a neat fact that I came to realize is everybody's always like, oh, I bought new needles, and I bought needles, and I'm bending needles, and I need new needles. I have stitched with the same needle, one needle, for I don't know how long, the same needle. And at this point, it's kind of like, I know this sounds crazy, like my lucky needle or something. But I don't even think it's a cross-stitch needle or a tapestry needle. I honestly, I think back when I used to live at home that I had lost the needle that I was using. Who knows where it went? And I pulled the needle out of my mom's needle and pincushion, and I have been using this needle for a really, really long time. And I love it. And the eye is a little bit smaller than what I see on tapestry needles, but I can thread it easily, and I like the size, and it's really strong, and it doesn't bend. And I should probably, while I have it, take it to the store and see if I can find out what kind of needle it is and buy more in case I ever do lose this one needle. Because I would be traumatized. I should really do that. I should take this to Joann's or Michael's or somewhere in a preserved case or piece of fabric so that I don't lose it on the way there. And buy somewhere just like it if I can find it. But I guess that's it. And it better be, because I think my friend is going to pick me up in 10 minutes. So have a great weekend. And I'm going to go off and do some antiquing and probably not buy anything because I am broke at the moment because we just had to buy a new refrigerator. But I'm going to spend time with my friend, and that's what it's about. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to come back and do some stitching, and maybe beginning of October or end of September, I will do another video and show some more progress and hopefully be able to tell you more about the stitch along. And again, if you want to join, just hit me up on Instagram, which is also eclecticpossessions, or just comment here and we'll figure out a way for everybody to share together, and it'll be fantastic. So have a great day and happy stitching, and I'll see you guys next time.